Begin the conversation. From defections to realignments and coalition moves, the political terrain in Nigeria is already getting charged ahead of the 2027 elections, as the administration of President Buhari is inching towards its second anniversary. Opposition parties in the country are regrouping for the 2027 task of unseating the ruling All Progressives Congress APC. This will form the basis for our discussion on the program. So, joining us for the in-depth discussion about this issue is the special advisor to the President on Policy Communications, Daniel Bwala. Daniel Bwala, thank you so much for joining us, sir, on Journalist Hangout. Okay, I think we're having network issues, but gentlemen, BK, it's just 2 years into the administration of President Buhari, but we see political opponents, switching gears in a move to grab power in 2027. But talk to me, why the rush?
Yeah, I wouldn't say they're in a rush. It's well within their rights to begin to see how they can unseat the president, even from the first day. Politics is an interest-driven game, and politicians are in power. They are in the business of grabbing power. You don't have to wait until the last minute before you make moves to take power. From the day you lose power, you start working hard. From the day you lose the election, you start working hard to see how you can regain power, to see how you can win the next election. That is the way it works, not just here, but in other parts of the world. They know that the president is in a strong position, and because it's in a strong position, you have to take extra steps. You have to make extraordinary moves to make sure that you are competitive, to make sure that you are strong enough to take power from him. That is what they are doing. They are trying their best. And when you see Peter Obi going up and down, latching upon every mistake that the administration makes, it's because he wants to put himself in a good position. He wants to be constantly in the spotlight. He wants to ensure that he's competitive enough ahead of the election. He wants to be the man that everyone is talking about. That's why actually everything that is going on, he has an opinion, whether it is VDM's arrest, and he has an opinion. Whether it was justified to arrest him, he has an opinion. And he will always try his best not to align with the government of the day, because to do that is to make it look like, look, there's no reason to contest against this. There's no reason to challenge this.
Absolutely.
So that is the way politicians are wired, especially in our country where even if you are doing well, people will say, oh, no, he has failed. I've seen people, supposedly educated people, who will tell me that this government has not achieved anything. They're not saying, no, they've not. It's not. They will even ask you to tell them whether it has achieved anything. So, is it necessary to debate with such people?
Because you already have an opinion.
When I'm extremely disappointed about the level to which you have sunk, a debate becomes unnecessary, because you are not ready for an early debate. You cannot say that in 2 years there is not an achievement. You may not be happy about what you see. You may feel disappointed that they should have done a lot more. But to say nothing has been achieved, it's ridiculous.
Absolutely.
Honestly, it's ridiculous. Even if we don't go into all of those things. Thank God that the NOA came up with a promo, for example, where people are benefited from the student loan, which was not there before now, can come out to say, okay, I've benefited. Yes, we still need greater penetration of that policy.
Sure.
500,000 Nigerian students benefiting officially is not enough as far as I'm concerned. There should be a lot more indigenous students benefiting. But to say, oh, no, there's no achievement is a lie.
It's not
from
a fair
the pit
judgment
of hell.
All right, then. I've just been told that Daniel Bwala has now joined us. So, Daniel Bwala is a special advisor to the President on policy communication. Daniel Bwala, thank you so much for joining us on Journalist Hangout.
Thank you.
All right, so...
Thank you for having me. Pleasure to be here.
Yes, so good to have you. So just like what we're talking about, what we're discussing in the studio, the President has, barely spent 2 years in office. And the opposition, they've switched gears, trying to grab power. Now, the question I asked BK, I'm going to ask you again. Why the rush now?
Yeah, because opposition, their major job is to oppose. That's in their DNA. But what makes the opposition unique is when the opposition have an alternative plan, when they engage constructively and intelligently, when they are able to bring their own records to the Nigerian people, and their record is so tempting and sumptuous that Nigeria will want them to come. Unfortunately, the opposition will have in this part of this world don't seem to have an idea of what they are up for. But since the Constitution says you can run for office, they are up and running. Take, for example, if you look at their engagement in the last 2 years, not a single one of them has come up with issue and addressed this government issue by issue, which is what you see in climes. Let's say in the economy, they will say our own application of the economic principle is incorrect because of A, B, and C. Or on the security, they will say that. But the opposition we have now are aiding and abetting insecurity, aiding and abetting all kinds of things. But for you to even come together and form opposition that is strong enough to unseat a sitting president, you must first of all do your background work. But in order for you to even do the background work, you must also make sure that you are marketable. Which one among the opposition parading themselves up and down as people with better alternatives can say that they are marketable, can say that they are wanted, can say that... that's why we naturally don't want to talk much about politics. We refuse to be dragged into it because we know when that time comes, we are going to bring facts by facts. Because what I actually call them association of wild goose chasers, individuals who are not like a clap of thunder out of a blue sky, individuals who necessarily do not have any plan, but they feel that it is their right at this time to get the power. Some of whom probably have benefited in previous government and they are not in government now and they want to be in government by all means. Or some of them who they just feel that it is in their DNA to rule, but they don't have to have an idea of why they are ruling. They have in the last 2 years not engaged Nigeria on any single issue, and I challenge them. One among them that will say they have addressed an issue we are doing, issue by issue, to say they have a superior plan or they have a superior idea. But it is like a trade fair. This is, they believe, the season where everybody will come out of their cocoon in a bid to probably trade whatever they can trade for the purposes of pursuing their interests.
All right, so looking at this, your decision to work for President Tinubu, it came as a surprise to many people. But walk us through factors that aided your decision.
Well, this is an issue we have discussed over and over. I actually have discussed that for 1 year before my appointment, and this is getting to the 6 months after my appointment. And I made it clear that the reason why I left Mr. President at the beginning was because of fear. Because when the chips are down, everybody is into politics, either for personal or collective interest. I come from the part of Nigeria where they are considered minority. We are more or less like endangered species. Opportunity hardly comes down to us, no matter our competence. And sometimes when you break it down, it has so many layers. Religion is one of them. So whenever a ticket is going to be formed, you want to feel that somebody that is in the ticket must represent who you are so that your interest can be protected when you're not there. So at that time, because the decision of the president was same fate, we thought that that decision is going to further bring us down. That was why we made those decisions. But I can tell you now, I don't think there is any part of Nigeria greater than the middle belt and part of the northeast who consider themselves minorities that are more fired up for Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Why? Because when he became president, what he ensured he has been doing is that he delivers on equity. The rights of people are given. He's not moved by religious consideration. He's not moved by tribal consideration. He's moved by equity and good governance, meaning that if in such a place you have people who are capable and competent to do something, he will give them the opportunity to do it. That's why even when it comes down to the issue of the youth, you see that for a long time, governments have not entrusted responsibilities in the hands of young people. But if you look at the cabinet of the president and his entire government, and that involves people in agencies, advisory, you will see that he has entrusted a lot of responsibility in the hands of the youth. So it cut across. You have the component of women, component of youth, the minority. He just wants to deliver on that thing called equity and good governance. And that has fascinated us. So I saw it even before I joined Mr. President. And that's why when I met him in January, I made that clear to him. In fact, we had a meeting, like I said it over and over, meeting that was supposed to be for 15 minutes, ended up lasting for close to 2 hours. And Mr. President was magnanimous and gracious enough to address the issues. That's why I tell people, I say I'm privileged, because it is not a right. But he raised those issues that were of concern, which I have been engaging in the public space, and said, these are his plans for the government. And he said, we young generation should jump into such opportunity and make sure that we put in our best. And that is fundamentally what endeared me and even strengthened my conviction that President Bola Tinubu means well for the country.
All right, beautiful. Now, so some people say that President Bola Tinubu does not have achievements to campaign on for 2027. Now, talk to me. What achievements can the president point at?
Yeah, so those who say there is no achievement, either they are blind, deaf, or dumb. But I will help them today. When the president when he took the oath of office, 27 states of the federation were reported to have gone bankrupt, meaning they could not pay salaries. They virtually could not do anything at all. That was when he became the president. Today, there is not a single state in Nigeria that is bankrupt or that is incapable of paying salary. Rather, you have governors who have gone beyond that to deliver on good governance and project. A few days ago, we were in Kaduna. The governor of Kaduna reaffirmed the same view that I said. He said before now, governors didn't have enough to even pay salary. But today, we have to pay salary, and look at the projects that I'm inviting you, Mr. President, to commission. The other day, the leader of the Progressive Governors Forum said the same. And instructively and interestingly, even in PDP state, for example, in Abia, President has visited Abia. I mean, I say Abia, yes, Abia, where Governor Oti is there. And then in Enugu, these are PDP governors. They acknowledged the fact that the policy of the president has increased their allocation to the point where they can now deliver on good governance to their people. Fundamentally, that is achievement number one. And this achievement is not to be taken lightly, because this achievement has actually saved Nigeria from going into decadence. Because had the president not taken that decision, from 27 probably would have gone to maybe 32, leaving probably Lagos, Rivers, and maybe 2 other states that will be able to say we can pay salary. That is one. Number two, look at our foreign reserve. You can see the way we have increased, and we are increasing the foreign reserve while we are paying the debt that was on our neck. Look at the foreign. I talked about the foreign reserve. Now look at you just talk about NEL fund, the students. Now the son of nobody, people who are indigent, who have dreams to become something in life, can have access to funds to fund their education. Look at the road construction, because fundamentally they say the country is backwards because there was a infrastructure decay, to the point they say that for Nigeria to even attain a level where it can be considered as making progress, there must be an investment of between $30 billion to $100 billion annually for I think 20 years or so, or 30 years. Now, but look at it. The budget per year is less than $35 billion. That is less than what is even needed as minimum for infrastructure alone as required by economists and then the World Bank. But look at what the president was able to do. And we are talking about 2 years. We are not talking about 4 years. To a point where we have stability. There are things about these policies, there are things about these policies that are intangible. They are foundation-laying principles for the growth of Nigeria. So we don't have to go about begging every day and night so that we don't borrow the future of our grandchildren, all in the name of wanting to do anything. Look at the racket in the oil and gas sector. When they say there's subsidy, is it not the removal of subsidy that has now placed this state government in a better footing to deliver on governance? These are few of the many more achievements of the president. When they blow the whistle and they say, let's go to campaign, we will bring it to the table. And they are ascertainable, they are relatable, they are touchable. You may sit somewhere in the comfort of your office, for example, as an opposition, and say nothing has happened to Nigerians. And nothing has happened and has improved the livelihood of the Nigerian people. I'm sure the mothers, the fathers, brothers and sisters of those who have benefited from the NEL Fund will think differently. The cities where we have infrastructure, they will think differently. The state governors, that is why governors are coming to our party. Can they see? Can they see? They have eyes, but they cannot see. Governors are on their own, coming to us. What about key managers of specific presidential candidates at the last election? Take, for example, Peter Obi. You see one of his handlers is with us. The second handler right now is considering joining us. One of his media spokesmen is in talks with us. Why are they coming? Are we giving them money? Nobody's giving nobody kobo. But because they realize we are not perfect as a country. We can never be perfect. We can make mistakes as a government, but our hearts are right. Our head is correct. And we are creating a national consensus. Even some of the decisions Mr. President has been taking, even members of his party, our party, do not like it. Especially when he stretches his hand to create a broad-based national consensus around this project of Nigeria. There are those who think, forget about everybody, only members of the party. Oh, no! He is a president of the country. So he goes to state or PDP governors, commission it, shower encomium on the performing governors. He did that in Enugu. He did that in Abia. He is a president of the people. And my joy is that President Bola Tinubu is focused on his job. Since he took the oath of office till today, whether in media chat or in private conversation, President Bola Tinubu has not reacted to any of the schemes of these people who are coming together in the name of a coalition to unseat him. Why? He's focused on the mandate delivered to him. And by God's grace, we are going to sing the praises of the success of this administration by the time we complete the 4 years, and when we approach the Nigerian people to give us another 4 years, and we'll create a legacy for our children and children's children. Looking at
the individuals behind the coalition that everyone is talking about at this time, we have your former principal, Atiku Abubakar, and we have former governor of Kaduna State, Nasir El-Rufai. Tell me, confess to me, do you sometimes wish that somebody of the stature of Nasir El-Rufai were on your side, especially at this time?
First of all, we have never dismissed Nasir, and that is what marked President Tinubu out. We have never dismissed him. All of his time in APC was impactful, and although some of his successes are overrated, but let us just say for the sake of argument that they were impactful. He played his role in the emergence of the president, and the president had wanted him to be part of the government. But because we have 3 branches of government, unfortunately, the legislature, while they were still considering, because his confirmation hearing was not concluded, he at some point decided to withdraw his interest to serve as a minister. So, but now that he has gone, are we regretting? Certainly no. Why? Because that's why they say if one door closes, another one opens. In the Kaduna state where he governed as a governor, if you look at the trajectory of his governance, by the time he was approaching the end of his second term, his popularity has dwindled. That's why I shudder and laugh at those who think his movement around will create any repulse effect. Why? We lost 3 Senate seats, some House of Rep, and the president lost Kaduna. I mean, there cannot be a sad story like that. But we still believe that probably now that he has finished, he has come, we will move together. But he thinks differently because once again, he is his right to chase his ambition. And nobody is holding it against him. But I can tell you that the governor who has taken over from him, what he has fundamentally done in Kaduna was to unite the entire Kaduna people under one umbrella. Not a single crisis. They forge ahead. 2, delivering equity to the people that were disenfranchised in the state. And 3, was able to unite forces together. The other day you see Shehu Sani and his group that left Nasir El-Rufai, they all came together. So wherever we had what seemed like somebody leaving, it is creating the room and opportunity for others who hitherto were not seen to come out and even put in their best. As per my former principal, you see, if I have the opportunity to meet him face to face, what I will tell him is just this: Your Excellency, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, you have to believe in destiny. God giveth power to whomsoever he chooses. And it seems from the facts on ground, it may not have been the will of God for you to govern Nigeria. There are many other ways you can contribute. And since you have been a friend to President Bola Tinubu for many years, come together and bring your contribution towards the Nigeria that both of you wanted to create for the Nigerian people, so that your legacy will be that in your political dying days, you will be able to achieve some of your dreams, albeit through your friend. But if he insists that he wants to run and he wants to become the president, as we are already seeing it playing out, his political ending might not be as palatable as he's thinking, because right now, from his political family, he has lost substantial people, probably 60 to 70%. And now a younger generation under him felt that it is their turn and their right to also run. And for some time now, with all the talks, they have not backed down or back away from their ambition. And they don't look like they are going to back away anytime soon. And then the conversation with Peter Obi will be making the biggest mistake of his life to now come together under the agreement he will be a running mate, because all of the people you are hearing obedient had only one contract with Peter Obi, that he will run for the president. The minute Peter Obi drops the idea of running for president himself, I can guarantee you he will lose majority of the people that are following him. This is without taking away the fact that Peter Obi himself may not be comfortable in that arrangement. Who else in that political cycle that has the political gravitas more than Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu? Let's leave joke aside. Who that has political gravitas? Because most of them are proteges of Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. A man who won election when all the forces are against him will now lose election when he's in power. When you have the opportunity to deliver on good governance, you have opportunity to stretch your hand and make it a national consensus, as he's doing. But those who are close watchers of events and activities and are not moved by emotions will see signs that indicate that the coalition is dead on arrival. And what are those signs? Governors on the platforms of their parties are joining us. Senators are joining us. Everywhere where they think they have those strong structures, the people are coming under the tutelage of President Bola Tinubu, because President Bola Tinubu may not be perfect. He may make mistakes. But one fact is clear. His head and his heart is right, and there is no politician alive today that has political gravitas to gather people as much as President Bola Tinubu. We are not bothered.
No, Bwala, if you do a tie back to the year 2023, APC had so many governors. Apart from having plenty of governors, there were the 5 governors of PDP who were working with Wike, who also did not support the candidate of their party. So effectively, APC had that's President Tinubu, had no less than 25 governors literally backing his aspiration. But at the end of the day, APC lost not less than 10 states that it was in control of. And the president didn't win even half of those 25 governors that openly professed interest in his aspiration. So talking about the fact that governors are joining the party, don't you think it's not a guarantee of victory, given what transpired in 2023?
In politics, nothing is guaranteed until it happens. But in politics, we have science. That's why they call it political science. There are science behind political activities and trajectory. And then even the common man sometimes can see. For example, your point about the governors he had. You see, in 2023 election, it was not President Bola Tinubu that was in the driver's seat, so to speak. He was a candidate. But the forces on earth were not forces he had control over. And there are activities that have happened in the build-up to the election that were clear enough to suggest that President Bola Tinubu was actually contesting against forces. This is without prejudice to the fact that I was on the other side and I knew the number of governors of APC that were supporting us. So that's why I say in politics, nothing is guaranteed. And at that time, the reason for which some of the governors were doing that is because if you look at the optics that surrounded that election, it is very easy for you to believe. People came together and ran for primaries. He won. Some of them were aggrieved. He is not running for primaries now. Everybody is under the umbrella. That's point number one. Point number two, he has had enough time to engage. And there is something I have discovered with Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu since I've come to know him. You know this thing they call political vendetta? He doesn't do it. Look around him, his government and everybody around him. Over 70% of the people were like prodigal sons and daughters who have left him. So why is it that when they go, they still come back? There must be something about his governance and politics strategy that tells that your future can be achieved by coming under his tutelage. And there are many. They are not hidden people that you can see. Now, but there is not a single politician now incomparable to President Bola Tinubu that you will say people that have abandoned him came together. He's the only person that has them. Then two, going forward, yes, there might be governors or a governor or governors that may secretly be backing the other opposition.
Yes.
But if you look at, if you do comparative analysis of the pre-2023 election and look at where we are today, President Bola Tinubu has gained more grounds than the ground that he has lost in 2023. So he's in a better footing, so to speak, at the moment as compared to when he was not in control of the campaign.
All right, Daniel Bwala, just sit tight. We need to go on this quick break. All right, if you just joined us, it's still Journalist Hangout. I still have BK right here and Asuko James. And also, we still have the Special Advisor to the President on Policy Communication, Daniel Bwala. Daniel Bwala, thank you so much. Still staying with us on Journalist Hangout. Yeah, there's still a question from BK.
Thank you.
Yeah, Dr. Bwala, there are concerns about the wave of defections in recent times in our country. And there are people who harbor this fear that if care is not taken, Nigeria will become a one-party state. How do you respond to this fear in opposition cycles that our country is sliding into a one-party state?
The only the set of people that are supposed to stop the country from becoming a one-party state is not the governing party. If we have our chance and favor, everybody will become member of APC. It is constitutional to make your party popular and bring more people under the basket of the party. It is opposition that are supposed to say that we will not allow this nation to be a one-party state. Therefore, we're going to build our party, build alternative, come up with ideas, harmonize our people. It is their duty. It is not the duty of the president where he's sitting. Then he will say, oh, the way the government is going, I don't want them to accuse me of one party state. Okay, this governor of this state, go and join them. This senator, it doesn't happen like that. So they are deflecting. They are, in other words, sending the blame that is supposed to be right staring at them. They are sending that blame to anybody who cares to listen to them. Because nobody will look at PDP as a party now and ever think that the PDP as a party is even sensible enough to have any member there. In the last how many years, what have they done? Is there leadership in that party? Is there direction in that party? Have they been able to hold a meeting successfully in that party? When have they come out of court cases in that party? If you make your house unattractive, you cannot blame your neighbor who has beautified his house for having visitors. And flies, sheep will always go to greener pastures. They will not stay in the dry land. It is the covenant. God says, you lay me beside still waters. So every member of the political party look for his political interest. Pardon?
I said you are waxing lyrical like a pastor now.
If I feel the anointing. Because the point I'm trying to make is, there is nobody that will go and enter fire. It is instinctive and it is created by God that man by nature will gravitate towards where life will be better for him. These are sitting governors. We are not talking about former governors. Sitting governors are defecting. If you say, this one will say because of trade, are they not covered by Section 308? Because they know when we align with the center, we are able to deliver governance to our people. We avoid unnecessary drama. Take, for example, Delta. Not just a sitting governor, including a former vice presidential candidate. I mean, President Bola Tinubu is not being given the credit that he deserves. He is supposed to have, because at a point I told my friend, I said, probably very shortly, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar might also declare his support for President Bola Tinubu. Nothing is impossible. Because what President Bola Tinubu is doing is to run a government of everybody, a government of the Nigerians. You find people he relates with who are not in his government, not in his party, people who he makes sure that his doors are not controlled by those who think it is winner takes it all. And that is the approach he's giving. So it is attractive, whether at the National Assembly level, whether, okay, I give you another graphic example, Dr. Babajide. Look at National Assembly. They would always cry and say that the National Assembly is a rubber stamp. Meanwhile, that National Assembly consists of members of the opposition. When a bill is sent to the National Assembly, there is overwhelming votes of both the PDP senators and House of Rep, of the Labour. Recently, Peter Obi wrote a letter, a passionate letter to Labour Party lawmakers to listen to him and not support a particular resolution. They ignored him and do that. Are they also, while remaining in their respective parties? So are they turning a one-party state? If your house is not attractive to visitors, don't blame your neighbor for making his house attractive. So we will continue to counter them with this counter-narrative that if you fail to put your house in order, anybody who comes to your house is experiencing a curse, because nobody wants to go to a place of conflict, confusion, derision, lack of direction, and frustration. And in these days of mental health, nobody will go to PDP, or else you have problem with mental health. So we are doing what we are supposed to do. We are focusing on governance, but we know for sure when that time comes, we will come to the Nigerian people who are the only people that will determine who gets elected, and we will bring the scorecard to them.
Okay, Dr. Bwala, I want to bring you back home because you said something about mental health, and some of your members are also thinking of having mental health because they said they've worked for the president and that the president has not rewarded them enough. And they're already thinking about, working against his re-election. Do you agree, or what do you have to say about that? That the president is not
what I would say,
giving them their reward?
This is what I would say. Members of political party who work, they are expected to be rewarded. But how do you reward? will everybody be in government because there are limited space for appointees. The whole essence of government, people subscribing to a political party and then working towards getting one of them to become a president, is because they believe that the policy of that party, when their man becomes president and he implements the policy, the environment will be conducive enough for them to succeed in their chosen field of endeavor. So if you are a businessman, you are not necessarily in the campaign so President Bola Tinubu will make you a minister or DG. But you are supporting him so that when the president becomes president, the policies around business, he will create it in such a manner that the ease of doing business will be fantastic, and in your own chosen field, you will succeed in it. That's why in America, they have lobbyists, people to protect their interests. But I think that the missing link is that there are some people who are thinking they want to be appointed, but they probably do not have the necessary specialty or competence for that job. But you can never take away the fact that there are those who are competent and compellable, who are ready and fired up, but who may not have been considered today. Remember, this is 2 years. Who knows? The president might reject the cabinet and get in the second half, you probably get a new fresh people. But apart from the cabinet, in terms of ministers, there are agency heads, there are governing boards, there are other appointments, about 7,000. We have not gone to half of it. And there are more appointments that are coming. So then the third one is, if you honestly believe that somebody is blocking your chances of becoming anybody under Asiwaju's government, maybe you believe you should have been appointed, but maybe there are people around him that are blocking you. What is the solution? Defection is not the solution, right? What is the solution? Fighting is not the solution. I think the solution is to double up in what you're doing so that it becomes unavoidable. That is, your promotion will become irresistible. But not many people have that courage and patience to wait for that. So use now the channels of the party. You can go through the leadership of the party. You can go through the National Assembly leadership. You can then seek to see the president. All I'm trying to say in essence is the opportunities are there and there are many. And people will be carried along. And there are those that may never be appointed, but enabling environment will be created for them to thrive in their chosen field of endeavor. That's the whole idea of government. And then there are people, of course, you cannot take away that in politics where people work towards getting somebody to become president so that in their field they can be getting contracts and opportunities to do that. It is still part of governance. Nobody will convince me that it is not part of governance. That you work towards bringing government and you are hoping that this government that has come to bring prosperity will consider your competence in your chosen field and give you contract. All of these things are factors by which deliverables are given to the Nigerian people. And there are people in all the places.
Dr. Bwala, I know there are some members of the APC who are frequently criticizing the president, like Senator Ali Ndome. You know, he's always providing, it's like he's providing ammunition for the opposition, you know, without realizing it. So what do you have to say about that?
You see, in the case of Ali Ndome, I had an extensive back and forth with him because coming from my senatorial district, the way he was going, I felt, me, who is an appointee of the president, from my district, somebody is trying to cause a problem to the administration of President Bola Tinubu. I cannot afford to hide. Even at the expense of my job, I should be able to defend the president, at least so that it will be recorded that there was a time Bwala stood up and resisted somebody from his district wanting to undermine the government. And I also did that at that time because he called us attack dogs, and that's defamation of character. And I felt that rather than going to court, I will bring his record. Elders in our place called and asked us for a ceasefire. And it's because I knew then he was going to the coalition and he was meeting with them. So I knew we couldn't afford to keep quiet so that people will be thinking there's a problem in our party. That's why people in the party are fighting. Anybody who wants to go out and start murmuring and crying, you have to bring that fact to the public so that they say, okay, no, this one wants to go. So it is understandable that he's saying what he's saying. So that they don't say he remains a member of the party and is doing that. There are people who are saying that. But coming to the fact in issue, those things he was talking about as the reason behind his agitation were not factual. He alleged that this government is a nepotistic government. We proved that it is not a nepotistic government. The minimum requirement of the Constitution has been made by the president. And we proved to him from the security sector Nigeria is represented, economy Nigeria is represented. There's in every aspect. I even went ahead to tell him that from his district, we have 2 special advisors to the president. In his village, there is NNPC chairman. So sometimes when you don't know why people say what they say, you might be thinking that argument is objective. There are few people, very minute, that I can say genuinely they deserve to be appointed and they are not in government. This is my message to them tonight. Hang in there and stay focused. The president is thinking about you. And by and large, you will form part of this government. We are about concluding the first half by next month, and then in the second half. If you are somebody that is a lover of football, there is something about football. It's played in 90 minutes, broken into 2, 45 minutes first half and 45 minutes second half. All coaches that I know, after first half, they re-strategize. If the match is not favorable to them, they re-strategize in order to counter. If they are winning, they re-strategize in order to reinforce their defense so that the attacking threat will not overwhelm them. If they feel that they needed to score, but they have not been able to do well in second half, they reinforce the attacking. The wingers, the attackers, they convert people to midfielders, creative midfielders, attacking mid, all kinds. All of these tactics and strategies are necessary to win a match. I have not seen a coach that starts the match and till 90 minutes he has not changed anybody. I have not seen one. And if you have ever seen one, it's a fluke. All successive coaches from my club Chelsea to the other clubs that are inferior to us, all of them, you will see that they will have to be changing players. And any player that is changed is not because the player is bad. You can see a performing minister may be removed. And the fact that he's removed does not mean he has not performed. It means that the president is adopting another strategy.
Okay.
So that we take away this idea that
let's talk about the fans.
Let's leave football. Let's leave your Chelsea.
Because I know that you are a northerner, and already some people are saying that the president will be roundly rejected in 2027. Do you exercise such a fear or such fears?
We came from Katsina a few days ago. When we entered the city of Katsina, from the airport to every part of the places we went for commissioning, people were lined up like that, as if there was no space. The kind of overwhelming support that the president got in Katsina, the Northwest. And he will be going to places to commission and then to see people. And you will see, few people that have the power of media or that are in privileged position making all these empty noises are not the ones that determine who becomes a president. Some of these people don't even vote on that day. The people who determine who becomes president are the masses. I am telling you the kind of thing that the president is doing, if only our governors will also deliver. You see, because increased allocation and all of that has taken the government to them, has taken resources, even to local government autonomy to them. But you see, when a governor does not trickle down this governance to his people, the president is pointed. You had a nightmare. The president is responsibility. The president is responsible. Anything that happens, witches fly over your house, the president is responsible. Because even the media, they have failed in holding governors. I'm not saying everybody. They have failed in holding governors to their responsibility. This insecurity you're seeing all over Nigeria, I can tell you with every degree of conviction, 60 to 70% could have been curbed if the governors are using their security votes. Because you see the security vote from 600 million to some places to 3 billion. Think about half of that money investment in that state to deal with insecurity, creating vigilante frontier, providing equipment, surveillance equipment, also supporting the federal agents in your state. So the way it is, democracy is couched now. The president is responsible for anything. Your wife has miscarriage. It is the policy of the president. And that's why we are taking our time to counter this by informing the Nigerian people in every available media outlet that as far as governance is concerned, we have never had increased allocation since 1999 till today, delivered in such a manner that it dealt directly with the fundamental problem confronting the integrity of Nigeria, which is the integrity of those states. This is what the president is focused on, not fanfare. And the opposition, look at what they do. Small thing, even very dark man was arrested. They jump into issuing statement. The other day, this one. When you lack idea, imagine how they belittle this idea of governance. Because they have nothing to share, they have nothing to say, other than to hype and create insecurity in the country.
All right, Dr. Bwala, let's talk about this. But don't you think the current economic challenges will push Nigerians to look the way of the opposition in 2027?
Well, if you look at the economy of Nigeria, so when the president came, Nigeria was already in a problem. Remember, there was not even Naira. You couldn't even go to bank to cash 1,000. I mean, to cash 10,000. That was the situation. We had 73 trillion debts to be paid. We have 27 states who couldn't pay their salaries. We have contracts that were abandoned. The healthcare in Nigeria was bad. At a point, people were going to Sheraton Hotel, doctors, over 2,000. They are needed somewhere outside of Nigeria. You need to know the picture of the Nigeria before Ashwaju took the oath of office. You need to look at the various sector by sector what the president is doing. But the reform, I have attended classes, I have called professors, I have asked questions. There is nowhere reform takes place automatic. There is nowhere reform promises overnight wonders. But what reform will promise you is fundamentals of the economy will be put in their proper place. And by and large, it will not only affect you, it will also positively affect your children and children's children. And if you look at the 18 months before the last 2-3 months, everything was going. The food items were going down. Before Donald Trump, came up with this policy of tariff. It had created a problem all over the world. England, I live in England. England has what they call cost of living crisis. The watermelon that my wife was used to buying, she went and brought watermelon that looked like small something you put in your mouth. And that is when it dawned on me that this global village you are seeing is not a joke. There is a policy in one part of the world that will invariably affect the other. The war between Ukraine and Russia also affected to an extent agricultural products from coming to the rest of Africa. But within this, under this chaotic situation, look at what we have been able to do, even with agriculture. We too went to the streets and asked the prices of items. If you take away some of the elements by Nigerians who are hoarding, people who want to take advantage of situation. If you take away that, there is stability in terms of the food prices. Even when it goes up, it is not exponentially. It goes up and come back, goes up and come back, and that is how economy is meant. If we wake up tomorrow morning and everything changes overnight, I can bet my chest to tell you it is an artificial growth. If it is a natural growth based on the policies we projected it. We are not afraid to tell the Nigerian people we are making the progress needed, and any increase we get, we put it into intervention, because that's what you do when you are doing reform. You have to invest robustly in intervention so you can ameliorate the hardship of the people. And we're doing that. But whatever investment we put is like a drop of water in an ocean. Given what I explained earlier about what we need, even in infrastructure alone, not to talk of dealing with hunger, insecurity, and the rest. So I can say with all confidence that we are in a better trajectory. 2 days ago, the president told people in Katsina, he said we have taken the turn. Our worst days are behind us.
All right. Thank you so much, Daniel Bwala. Daniel Bwala is the special advisor to the president on policy communication. Dr. Daniel Bwala, thank you so much for joining us on Journalist Hangout.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that.
And I'm also so glad he's a Chelsea fan. Biko. All right.
Don't bring
Chelsea
matter. We won't leave this place today. We'll bring Chelsea matter.
All right, Biko, in summary, your thoughts.
Yes, I think Daniel has done a good job since he joined the team. There's no doubt about it. He's very good. He has good communication skills, and he's bringing that to bear. No one can deny that he's been a good addition to the team to complement my boss, Bayo Nonoga. So many people may not be pleased
with
his answer to those questions, but he has given his best.
Exactly.
As far as I'm concerned.
Atiku.
No, truly, he has, since becoming an essay, he has been doing his best. You know, so many people are always castigating him. I always say, bring him what was in the past and bring him. Everybody has a past, you know. So this is the new Daniel Bwala, and he's selling the president the way he should.
It should. Very eloquent. All right, thank you so much, BK. Appreciate you as always.
Thank you so much for having me.
And that's it on Journalists Hangout today. Join us tomorrow for another episode of the program. You can watch the repeat broadcast of this episode tonight at 11. Join us on Sunday from 1:30 to 3.